Hello, Top Fan Rivalry followers, and welcome to another edition of Astros in Orbit, where it is pregame. And Suzy said to me, press record now, Bill. So, Suzy, good morning. Besides for the Astros, how are you doing?
It's not a good morning, Bill. It's not a good morning. Do you want to know why it's not a good morning? Would you like to know why it's not a good morning?
Listen, the kids are the kids. They're going to be kids.
No, not even my children can get me this upset
Okay, talk to me, Goose.
because my children I have like choices and I have and what to do with my children. This level of frustration can only be met when I have no leverage in said situation, and I can only scream into the void that is the frickin' frackin' internet about the choices that are being made by my favorite ball team. And I say that, and I can't even say that it is because I'm 73% sure that the manager and the general manager have 2% say in how this team is actually ran and what is happening on the field. Because at no point in time, if you were watching that game last night, at no point in time would you believe that at the top of the ninth, with runners at second and third, with two on and two out, that your 37-year-old first baseman that has had a problem with bat speed all season long, that you think in your brain and say to yourself, hmm, hmm, let me see. Should I keep the 37-year-old with lagging bat speed in against the closer who throws 100 more? Hmm. Should maybe. I know the situation's a little bit big, but maybe we throw in, I don't know, the left-handed batter that is sitting on the bench that is just basically dead.
Oh,
I.e. Joey Loperfido. If you guys are not aware, Joey Loperfido came up for Kyle Tucker.
yeah. So, I will say this that um, I thought the same thing. Uh, and I will say that I was very proud of you guys in one aspect. You guys bunted runners over with that ghost runner.
Did you
That
did you see the small ball? Did you see the
hmm
small ball? The
hmm
small ball. We love the small ball.
yeah.
We did.
No,
We
it,
loved it.
it was fantastic. And I just kept thinking to myself, okay, this is going to put pressure on San Francisco. This is going to put pressure on San Francisco, which it did. And when you score 2 runs, you shouldn't give up three. And but I love the small ball because you guys are at a point, and Seattle had a walk-off grand slam. So you guys are at a point where you're getting to the point where it is must-win situations. Um, the Central is a lot better than you and I thought they were going to be. The East is
No, no,
exactly
no,
what.
no, 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 no. No. There's only you in that situation. I
Whoa,
I I thought the Royals were going to be very good. We got to talk about this wind tunnel in Cleveland. We got to talk about this wind tunnel in Cleveland.
so
However,
I
I thought the Royals were going to be very good.
listen. I said the Royals are going to win that division. I did not expect Minnesota to stay hot, nor did I expect Cleveland to stay hot. So my point being though is as it sits right now, we're recording on September wrong on June 11th. As it sits right now, as it sits right now, there is a very good chance that the wild card will not come out of the West. It's win or go home. You either win the division or you go home. Tell me I'm wrong, Susie.
You're not. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And it pains me to say that my favorite baseball team will not be there. Will not.
I
And
thought it was going to pain you to say
I
that I was not wrong.
well, that too. But I was trying to take the high road, Bill, but thanks for, not letting
Bring
me
it
take
on
the high
down.
road there.
That's what I do. Yeah.
I just there's no way that I believe that in situation last season when Dusty Baker got thrown out and Joe Espada had to manage that game and he decided to pinch hit for Jeremy Pena in front of Yainer Diaz because when there are runners on, Yainer Diaz doesn't swing outside the zone as much because that's what the statistics said that he did. There's no way that you can sit there and tell me that his hands are not being tied by forces above him with the
100%.
usage of Jose Abreu. And
100%.
so everyone that is coming for Joe Spada that is like, "Oh no." Now, I don't know what possessed him for this bullpen usage. I don't understand that. That's on him because we all know that with runners on, Rafael Montero is not the choice.
Okay. But, 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 Susie, and this is a very big but, because I understand what you're saying about the bullpen and pulling the strings. These are professional athletes. They are required to do a job. The manager just tries to put them in situations that will afford them to win. If you can't execute those situations or throw strikes or a number of other things, that's out of his control. Period.
I I understand that, but we also had a leverage guy that hadn't been used in 4 days that maybe is just a little bit fresher than Rafael Montero Jr. that had been pitched back to back days.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I completely and totally and emphatically agree with you on this. But I just, I was on a live the other night and somebody was saying how they were tired. It was a Dodger Yankees recap, and somebody was saying how they're tired of Aaron Judge, and another person was saying how they're tired of Dave Roberts. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, wait a second. It's not the manager's job to execute. It's the manager's job to put you in every key situation to win, every key circumstance to win. But if you can't lay down a bunt, hmm, you know, there's
Yeah,
a
but there
problem.
was also there was also a situation in that game where one of ours for 2 pitches.
Hmm. No,
What are we doing? 2?
no.
No, there's I mean, and maybe that's on me. Maybe I need to go back and look at Seth Martinez's up and down numbers. Maybe he's not good after he sits down and, has to restart an inning. I don't know. Maybe again, but the fact that at no point in time should Rafael Montero Jr. be the guy when there's a runner on second.
I no, I agree with you. And so so
But also, we need to talk about runners left in scoring position.
nothing will drive a fan more crazy, right? Than runners left in scoring position with less than two outs. I mean, even with two outs, your job your job is obviously to get on base, but when you got second and third and two outs in the ninth, you have got to put the ball in play. You've got to find a base hit someplace because then you win the game by two, and you don't even go into the 10th.
3 for 11. That's what we were last night. 3 for 11, Bill.
Yeah, but anything more than that's just showing off. So you guys did good. That's almost 300, right? Almost 300.
I don't know. I don't know. This is not a math pod, Bill. This is not a math pod. Okay. What if a stranger were to look at this podcast and say which one of these two people are going to be able to do the maths, they are going to assume wrong, Bill. They're going to assume wrong. Okay. I cannot do the maths. That guy over there, he can do the maths. You need to ask him. I don't know.
So I've got a couple of questions for you and then thoughts on the rest of this road trip for you guys. So first question, do you guys have like a buy five, get one free on the Tommy John situation? Like, are you guys trying to shoot for getting the five in so that you can get one free? Is that what's going on here? Like, you had a
I
rough
think
week
so.
last week with the TJ stuff. And
Yeah, I
that's
think so.
and I'm wondering if Christian Javier is just gonna call it a career.
Jose Urquidy, you mean?
I mean, or Jose Urquidy, yeah. I'm wondering if he's just gonna call it a career.
I don't know. I don't know. Apparently their May has been not good. His beautiful wife Estefania put an Instagram update up on their May, and apparently, unfortunately, they had a miscarriage as well. That news came right before the news about his arm. So it's just been back to back big angry decisions, and lots of yelling at the sky, I assume for them. And they're pretty religious, and so, they are of the, well, it is God God will get me through this, and it's God's decision and blah blah blah. And I love that they have so much faith that it's getting them through this hard time in their life. And that makes me happy. And I hope that he can find a career after this. I don't know if he'll be able to, but I don't know. Maybe with a brand new arm, maybe he'll be able to get a little bit more velocity. Who knows? uh, it'll be his second TJ though, right?
Hmm.
Or his third?
No,
No,
second,
second.
second. But at his
So
age, I mean, and here's the thing, the blessing in disguise, the thing that drives you and I nuts about going to the ballpark is it's so expensive. The blessing in disguise for the players is a guy like Jose Urquidy has his second Tommy John, but even if you've only made the league minimum, which he has not, even if you've only made the league minimum, you have now enough money to go right off into the sunset.
yeah,
Now, if you've
yeah,
only made the league minimum, you might need to invest it well. You might still need to be a pitching coach someplace, something, but at least you're not in dire circumstances. Jose Urquidy was not making the league minimum, so he should have enough money to survive. Now, not that money's an issue, but he's just gone through two major things back to back. So, um, imagine having to go through those and still um, and still having to worry about money, right? That would be
yeah.
bad. Okay, my second question for you is what is the word on King Tuck? I have not looked it up. I have followed.
Friday,
What's that?
Friday. They're hoping that he will be back. Went, on the IL retroactively to the fourth, and because of his right shin contusion, which essentially is just a really, really bad bone bruise. I know you know, but some people may not know. And he unfortunately was only able to get around on crutches the day afterwards. And then the day after that, he was able to get around on just the one crutch. And yesterday it was reported that there was no crutches, but there still hasn't been any baseball activity. So they're hoping it will be Friday that he can, and Friday is the first day that he is eligible to return. but they are hoping that it will actually be Friday. He will
If there's no
return.
baseball activities and the dude's been working with 3 or 4 legs, um, Friday may be soon, but I'm also that guy that gets. You got to remember, I cheer for a team that brings players back early because they're available, and then they go out and we lose them for significant periods of time. So if he needs a couple extra days, that's fine. I mean, which brings me to my next point. I'm looking at your schedule. You have 2 more with San Francisco. Then you play Detroit, who's looking at home, that's looking for identity, and then you play the White Sox. So, King Tuck, if you need to stay out until Monday and start that series at home on Tuesday against the White Sox, do what you got to do. I know you're not going to like that analysis, but I'd rather have him back. Again, I'm a big fan of beating teams that are all together. I hate it with a passion when you're playing a team and they've got like 5 of their best guys out, right? Um, so King Tuck, come back when you can.
Yeah, yeah. And in the meantime, we're just gonna keep running Trey Cabbage out there. Just that's fine. That's totally okay. We don't even need the guy that we brought up from AAA, i.e. Joey Loperfido, that had been mashing again in AAA. That's fine. That's fine. We'll just stunt his growth just a little bit more. Trey Cabbage. Let's go.
So I saw both of those guys play when I was in Sugarland. Um, Joey is a major league athlete. He at some point is going to come up and stay up. He is a major league athlete. Trey, I don't know. I mean, he looked good, but again, I also watched a game where you guys won it 20-7 too. And so everybody looked good that day. Everybody had 7 hits with 27 RBIs.
Was
Um,
that against the Salt Lake Bees?
mm-mm.
No.
No, that was against Aviators.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I was
that
gonna
was
say because I want to say the Salt Lake Bees, they teed off on Reed Detmers as well, and so I didn't know if it was that
or
game
Reed
or not.
or Reed.
I think Reed can be fixed, but not by anybody in the Angels organization. I think Reed needs to request a trade, or in the off season go to Tread or something, because it ain't gonna be fixed in the Angels organization.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's 2 organizations that are incredibly young, and one's getting a lot of shine right now because they're actually producing, one's not. That's the Orioles. The Orioles are incredibly young, but they're winning. The Angels are incredibly young, but they're not winning yet. And so if I'm the Angels, I rebuild the pitching staff with the exception of Tyler Anderson. I mean, Tyler Anderson's just not getting run support. He's going out there and he's dealing. He's just not getting run support. Um, and then you've got a bunch of young guys, Zach Neto, Taylor Ward. Like a lot of these guys are under 25 years old. So
Taylor
if
Ward's
you
not
put,
that young though. Taylor Ward's been in the league for a while, but you got like Logan O'Hoppe and Nolan Shinuel and Zach Neto, but it's I say that there's you know it's young, but they've got some older guys up there as well. I
well,
honestly, I
they they do have Anthony and made out of glass Rendon.
think it's DeVille Angels fans.
Yeah, and Mike Trout. I don't know if Mike Trout's coming back this season or not. The way that the Angels are playing, I wouldn't want him back. I would just say, let's get you fixed. Let's not end your career. Let's get you fixed. So one of the things that we don't think about is on the fan side, on the business of baseball side, you think about on the fan side, and you're very good at thinking about both scenarios. But let's say Kyle Tucker's injury is just simple. It's just a bone bruise. It's no big deal. He comes back. Um, but what happens if it was worse? Remember, Kyle Tucker's only going to play professional baseball if he's lucky for 15 to 20 years. If not, and he'll retire before he's 40, but he still needs to be able to walk. He still needs to be able to do his regular activities because what good is it if you can't walk, if you can't get up on your own? What good's all that money?
It's
And,
true. It's true.
and
And and that's what this actually I want to say this actual injury
mhm,
is what Anthony Rendon said that he had. And then they said it was just a really bad bone bruise, just a shin contusion. And then he's saying that, it was an actual broken bone.
yeah,
So I don't at this point I see your point, Bill. I definitely want King Tuck right. And if he's going to play through any sort of pain, eh, this may be the season to get right.
mhm.
This may be the season to get right. I don't know if we're gonna be able to dig out of this hole that
Well,
are
I still think you can. I really do think you can. Seattle has impressed me this last week, but I still think you can. You just have to consistently win series. And so you got to take the next two from the Giants, which, by the way, please do that. Even though
that's what we're hoping for, Bill.
the Giants are like even though the Giants are like way, way, way behind the Dodgers right now, I love watching the Giants lose. Sorry for those of you that are Giants fans that are listening to this. Uh, but let's be honest, it's Astros podcast, so why would a Giant? Anyways, but sorry if I offended you. Um, but please do that. Take 2 out of 3 from Detroit. Detroit is still trying to find their identity. I thought they had a shot for the division this year. They are not getting anywhere near what I thought. Kansas City is doing what I thought they would do. But then you got the White Sox. So take 2 out of 3 from there. So win six out of your next 7 games or 6 out of your next 8 games. You'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, the and I think coming in I realize that I'm talking as if we're the White Sox or, the Mariners. I understand. But this is what happens when one has expectations and those expectations are not met. So, you just apparently as a baseball fan, you're just supposed to go through life hoping for the best but expecting the worst because quote unquote that's baseball. Baseball's baseballing again.
Yeah, you
And
don't need to convince me of this. I've been through it.
yeah, so it's one of those where, we should have swept the Angels. The being walked off back-to-back nights is just
Not awesome.
is a bit much. It's a bit much. And when they say as a baseball player, you gotta have a short memory. Apparently, as a baseball fan, you also gotta have a short memory. But that lingers a little bit more over here when you can just ruminate on it, and that's all you ruminate on.
Hmm. Well, listen, if you win this Giants series, you get 2 out of 3 from this Giants series. You won 4 out of 6 on the road trip. Doesn't matter how you lost. You won 4 games, you lost two, right? I mean, look at it that way. You took 2 out of 3 from the Angels. If you take 2 out of 3 from the Giants, does it matter that you got walked off back-to-back nights?
No, it'll take the sting out a little bit. It'll
A
take the
lot
sting
of
out a
it.
little bit,
A lot of
but
it.
it will. However, however, the fact that we had a almost fully rested bullpen
Yeah.
and now it's just been overworked in the matter of 2 games.
Again, so Susie, I get what you're saying. You're looking at the micro perspective, and trust me, if I were an Astro fan right now, I would be looking at the micro perspective because you can't end this month. You cannot end this month 8 games back. If you end this month 8 games back, you've got a huge mountain to climb, especially since you only play Seattle a couple more games. Like you have a huge mountain to climb. I get it. You need to be 4 games or under. I get that too. But a road trip that is you're 4-2 on that road trip. That's a very good road trip looking at it from a micro perspective, right?
I don't need realistic takes over here, Bill. That's not what we asked for, sir. Okay? That's not
Oh, I love this show. I
we
love this
don't
show.
we don't need over the top silver linings. That's not what the people are trying to tune in for,
I'm
Bill.
so sorry. Next time I'll run
Or
over somebody's pinky toe. My bad. Uh,
they're
that's hard.
they're coming they're coming here for unrealistic expectations and rants. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's a good point. It is a good point, Bill. And I have to be reminded. I have to be reminded about that sometimes because as 94% of people like to remind me, I came in this golden era of baseball, in this golden era of Astros always winning, and it has set unrealistic expectations. And it's a good reminder of what an actual baseball fan feels of normal teams, not of this powerhouse behemoth that was built under analytics and that is being slowly, piece by piece, being dismantled and
Yeah,
taking on water
yeah.
and
So,
sinking.
so Susie, eh, yeah, yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I go back to looking at. I mean, I've got some good friends that are Angel fans, right? And we can both agree this. Mike Trout is a first ballot Hall of Fame. We can both agree on that, right?
Absolutely.
Um, Mike Trout has not won one series as a player with the Angels, one playoff series, not one. And so if you're an Angel fan, there's something like I can see it welling up in you as you're shaking your head. I imagine that. Imagine having arguably one of the best baseball players on the planet. And then you add in somebody like Shohei, and now you have Shohei and Mike Trout, and you still can't make the playoffs. And you have Anthony I made out of glass Rendon, and you still can't make the playoffs from there. Like that's got to be. I mean, and I've talked to plenty of Angel fans. Boy, Susie, they'll tell you, mm-mm, mm-mm. So yes, but I get it. I get it. You should be frustrated. Now, let me ask you as a final question as we wrap up our episode today. Let me ask you this. You're in the dugout. Joe Espada is on a leave of absence, and Susie is now the in dugout manager for the Astros. What do you do differently last night? How do you manage the game differently?
Let, let me ask you a follow-up question, Bill.
Go.
Can I be fired for my choices?
Uh, not at Top Fan Rivalry, maybe with the Astros, but not at Top Fan Rivalry. We like you too much over here.
So, like I mentioned in my rant off the top, I think that Jose Espada, Joe Espada's hands are being tied
Mhm.
by the baseball committee of baseball guys that are running the ship. So if hmm, if the shackles are off, I don't think that he leaves. I don't think it's absolutely criminal. It is absolutely criminal to leave a 37-year-old in there with 2 on and 2 out with the closer that throws 100 plus. It's criminal. It is criminal, and it shouldn't have happened. It should not have happened. And I don't know if I'm really hoping that maybe in like some twisted way that they're giving enough rope essentially to hang himself. I don't know. I to essentially show like he's cooked and that there's just no coming back from this. And maybe back to back walk-offs are just enough. I don't know.
So, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for a second because remember, you have a pre-baseball Susie. My pre-baseball Bill goes back longer than you've been alive. And so I've I've seen a few of these things. So let's let me ask you this question. You have children, we know this. Have you ever told your children you cannot do that, or whatever it is, you cannot do that? And the reason being is because you know from experience that that's not a good choice, or you're requesting them to do something because that is a good choice from experience. Yes or no? I'm assuming yes, but yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Just playing devil's advocate here. I get what you're saying, and I would have brought in Joey as well. Please understand that. But at the end of the day, does experience outplay the mental overthinking of it? Because Jose Abreu has been doing it for a lot of years. Joey Lucafito has not.
Again, I think this is we're looking at it at the micro, but
Yeah.
we need to look at the macro and zoom out because this is far and away it's too far down the river because
I like it.
this started legitimately
Mhm.
the season after we won a World Series and then only offered James Click a year contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jim Crane saying goodbye to that analytical piece
I
and
understand.
bringing in Dana Brown, who again I think is hamstrung and not being given the free reign to do what he really kind of wants to do, hopefully. And in the meantime, before signing Dana Brown, thinking that giving an older reliever a 3-year contract and an older first baseman a 4-year contract because of the numbers on the baseball card
Yeah.
was a good idea.
Yeah.
And that so I'm uh, these these are the repercussions of the decisions that you made, Jim Crane, and I really honestly believe that his ego is too big to admit that he's wrong and that they are going to push this can go in the hopes that they don't have to swallow humble pie. They being Jim Crane, Jeff Bagwell. Not I guess not so much on Reggie Jackson and Craig Biggio because really it's been Bagwell in Jim Crane's ear.
Jim Screens.
Yeah,
Braille
but
Grant.
it is
Yeah. Well,
it's a good
Susie,
time. It's a good time. We
you,
love it.
you
We
bring
love
up a
it.
good point. You bring up a good point, and honestly, it's hard to be humble when you're having a tremendous amount of success, right? It's hard to not let your arrogance, your pride, whatever you want to call it. And let's be honest here. You guys have one and a half World Series um since 2017.
No,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that World Series trophy is still the same height as the other one. I don't think they took like half of it away. It's
Well, I don't know. They were trying to make it Jose Altuve size, so they may have cut it in half. But
no,
anyways,
he's standing on all of his money to make himself taller. Remember? That's
there you go.
that's what
So
we
you've got
remember.
two World Series in 6 years. You've been to the World Series three times in 6 years. You've been to the League Championship Series seven times in the last 7 years. It's really, really hard to think that you're making mistakes until you're starting to see the mistakes made. Now, mind you, this is just Dr. My Bill, and you can disagree with me or agree with me here, you know. And trust me, for those of you that listen, if you don't think that Susie knows how to disagree with me, oh, she makes it her life's work. Let me tell you. Um, but
It's true.
if you had everybody healthy, everybody that you thought was healthy, that the the Christian Javier's, the Akides, you know, Ramon Valdez not going down. If you had everybody healthy, you guys would be up on the Mariners by 4 games. Okay, but this is also baseball.
Oh yeah, no. If the if the numbers on the baseball cards were right, uh, on paper, this is a good looking team. It's a great looking team on paper.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, the paper and the humans that are playing the game aren't robots.
no, 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 no,
Not
they're
robots.
not.
But again, you you would think that maybe, just maybe, when in the off season you're saying, hey, we lost 3 relievers, 200 innings between those 3 relievers. Do you think maybe it's prudent to I don't know, say bolster your bullpen by a couple more relievers? No? No, you wanna go and I'm sorry, you wanna go and sign another closer, but we have a closer.
Yeah,
Oh, so we're just gonna move him out of the closer role?
and that's
He'll
worked
be
so
fine?
well for
No?
you this season.
It's oh, okay. So instead of getting more bullpen, we're just gonna pay the one guy, and then we're just gonna hope for the best for the other guys? Is that what Oh, okay, cool. That sounds like a very sound decision.
So I am going to I do you know where I think your weakest link is? I don't honestly I don't think it's even that. I think that the development of your people down below, in Sugarland and below, is where you might be hurting. Not that Sugarland's not developing them. I think that Sugarland does a great job at developing them. But you have to have a solid nucleus down below to come up to replace different people. And I like Spencer Getty. I think he's a very, very good pitcher. Do I think that he would have been brought up and had such a big role this season with the Astros had everybody been healthy? Probably not. But he's taking his licks, and I don't know what that does to a person mentally. I don't know what his next season is going to look like after this.
Well, there see, and this is why I think Spencer Arrighetti, while I think he was brought up too soon, I think he needed one more season to season. Hmm. I think the fact that his trajectory has been fast tracked a little bit because starts 1 through 5, the growth from those starts and the last 5 starts that he's had is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm,
And I think and you see it.
mm-hmm,
He's
mm-hmm,
still walking a ton. That's where the whip numbers lie and why his whip is so high.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And for those that don't know what whip stands for, it's walks plus hits in innings pitched.
Pitch.
That's so baseline. If you're really, really good pitcher, that number is below 1, is a sub 1 if
One.
you're really, really good. So, the higher that number is, the quote unquote worse your that pitcher is. So his whip is a lot higher than what I think he can actually perform at because he's got some really good strikeout numbers. He is able to get those swings and misses, but it's the walks. And it is he goes into the mindset of he wants to strike everybody out, and I need him to adjust a little bit quicker because when he's not getting, if the guy has really good zone discipline and he's not going to swing under it, I need you to go get a ground ball out. I need
Mm-hmm,
you to I need you to get that ground ball double play. I need you to get there a little bit quicker. And he actually has. His starts have gotten a lot better, and you can see that analytically that he is locking in a little bit more, and it's instead of 4, 5, 6 batters, it he can get there in like 3. I need him to get there, within like 2, within
yeah,
1,
I
within
I
that at
agree
bat.
with
Like that's where That's where I am seeing him go, and I think his mental toughness, I think he's built for this.
Mhm, mhm. Well, and again, like you say, he's making baby steps forward, which I think is great. Um, all it will take, and again, this is why I love the fact that you guys have JV on your team. Because if you don't have JV on your team, all it will take is him to have a really bad outing, let's say against Detroit. And I don't know when he's in the rotation, but let's say he has a really bad outing with Detroit, doesn't get out of the third inning, gives up 5 runs, right? And then he's pitching again 5 days later, and he has a really bad outing. But this time he gets out of the fourth, but he gives up 6 runs. Let's just say he has 3 bad outings in a row. A guy like JV can take him under his wing and say, hey, this is going to happen. That's why they call it the dog days of summer. You only play every 5 days, so this is what's going to happen. Without a guy like JV there to do that, or Clayton Kershaw, or a lot of other really good pitchers that have done it and been there, without that scenario, him having 3 or 4 bad starts in a row where he's progressing might end up throwing him for a mental loop. Does that make sense, or am I way overanalyzing that?
No, I think that makes a ton of sense, and I think you're 100% spot on. Uh, and, sorry, Angels fans, I know that it seems like I'm pouring on. I promise I'm really not. I'm not trying to, at least. I think that's part of the issue with the Reed Detmers, the Patrick Sandoval. They brought in Tyler Anderson to try and mentor, but uh, not to disparage Tyler Anderson, but Tyler Anderson is not gonna make it in the Hall of Fame, right? Like I'm sorry that I'm really trying not. I'm not trying to be mean here, but
No, no,
facts
you're
are facts, right?
no. The
And
guy played for
so,
Colorado.
well, but then the Dodgers fixed him. Dodgers fixed him, and then but he hasn't had that quite the same success as he's had. But I think that's where that veteran leadership and that veteran mentorship has come in, because you see that, and Patrick Sandoval is very expressive and very his feelings lie very close to the top, a la Framber Valdez over here on this side. And so it's one of those where I honestly do think, uh, JV and, uh, can take them and say, "Hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what's going to happen, and this is what I would do in that certain situation. Take it with a grain of salt." And that absolutely these guys are hanging on to every word. Absolutely, yes, for sure. And you see JV talking to them in the dugout, not on start days, and like looking and coaching them essentially. And so just for the sheer fact that he's able to do that and give us whatever he's able to give us on the mound. I mean, if if I were to lay out a Fromber Hunter JV in a 3-game set and say, "Hey, out of these 3, which game do you think we're going to lose?" You know, 75% of the time, you're not going to point to the Justin Verlander start and say that's the one, right? That's the one we're going to
Exactly.
lose. But the fact that he went out and he didn't have his quote unquote best stuff, and he went out and he grinded, and worked through his issues and still was able to give you 5. That's that's all you can ask for. I mean, it's JV, so obviously we ask for a little bit more, but it is what it is.
Well, I yes, and I agree. It's so funny because Susie, uh, I don't know if you realize that you did this, and it might hurt you to admit to this, but you agreed with me twice today. That's a record, folks. We've been doing this 6, 7 months now, and that is ultimately a record. I don't know what to do with myself here. I'm gonna go play the lottery or something after this.
Put in the record books, folks. Words are hard. Golly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't.
record.
Maybe we should call Guinness.
Yes. Well, I'll
That
do
not
that
the
as soon
beer,
as we get off here.
not the beer company. The Book of World Records. That's
Well, I'm glad you clarified that because you know that I was thinking Book of World Records, but you were going someplace else. So, judging by all the stuff that you have that's behind you, that I haven't.
you do make me drink, Bill. You and my bullpen. So
No, I think Mike and your bullpen make you drink, and so
that's true.
I'm
Listen. Sometimes the old white guys in my life I do get confused. So you are correct there.
all right. So everybody, I got another show that I'm gonna do. So Susie, thank you so much for being on. Tell everybody your discount code if they want to get the locker room or they want to get anything else, and tell them where else they can find you. Ready, go.
So, if you have not already signed up for the Top Rivalry Network locker room access, what are we doing, people? Come on now. You can use the code SuzyQ, 5 letters, SUZYQ. Really simple, really fast, and you can save 10% off of the membership. You can find my show, you can find any other fan shows over there. And you can also find this is PG-13 Susie over here, PG-13, PG Susie over here on the Top Fan Rivalry Network. If you liked this, but you say, maybe I feel like there's a little bit more spice in her. If you like, a little bit more spicy Susie, you can go find that on the Bourbon and Baseball show on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Just be aware though, that is rated R Susie over there on the Bourbon and Baseball show. That definitely rated R. Over here, we keep it a little bit more PG-13, a little bit more family friendly. So
I
just be
cannot
aware.
wait after you guys beat the Giants these next 2 games to listen to your series recap because though you can moan and groan in the back of your mind, you're gonna be like, man, Bill made sense. We won 4 out of 6 on the road trip. What am I doing? What am I complaining about?
For Bourbon and Baseball, Tom also mentioned that, and I don't like to admit that he's right either. And I had the same reaction to him that I did to you. That I said, we don't listen to these shows for the common sense. That's not what we're listening for.
Exactly. All right, Miss Susie, we're going to do it again next week. Top Fan Rivalry followers, be prepared. We got more to come. Next week, we're going to talk about what it looked like to finish up the Giants, what it looked like for the Tigers, and coming into the White Sox series. So, Susie, let's do it again.
For sure, for sure.
All right.